Hi, it's Brian Richardson. We've delved into the comics artist alley, and I've never gotten to say this before. I'm going to talk to a congressman, Congressman John Lewis. It's a pleasure to meet you, sir.
Well, good to meet you, sir.
And the congressman has his own writer, Andrew Aydin. Good to see you, too.
Good to see you. Thank you for having us.
Well, thanks for being here. It's actually an interesting thing at DragonCon, especially on DragonConTV. We normally try to make light of DragonCon. This is actually a very serious thing you brought to us with the convention. You have a comic book series called March, and it talks about the history of civil rights movement in the United States. And I'd like to ask you personally, Congressman Lewis, why did you pick graphic novels as a format to help tell the story of the civil rights movement?
Well, I must be very frank and candid and honest with you. Andrew Aydin, the co-author, came to me and said, why don't you do it? And being a nonviolent person, I sort of tried to put it off. And he wouldn't give up. He wouldn't give in, and he just kept insisting. And I finally said to him, yes, if you do it with me.
Okay.
And that is the history of the making of a bestseller graphic novel.
Yeah, it's amazing how well the format has worked for this story. So, Andrew, what made you think that graphic novels and this format would work for Congressman Lewis's story?
Well, first off, John Lewis is a real-life hero, someone that I think all of us can hope to emulate. Second, the civil rights movement used the comic book themselves to inspire some of the earliest acts of civil disobedience. It was called Martin Luther King and the Montgomery Story, and it was actually edited by Dr. King himself.
I did not know that.
So that was my graduate thesis.
Oh, okay.
Sort of a proof of concept that this could work. And so it just seems so natural. But John Lewis, above all, is a real-life hero that story, I think, needs to be told in this way, that it gives it a drama, it makes it plain, it makes it real for people to see.
Do you find that with the release of the movie Selma and a lot of the recent events in the news, does that reinforce your decision to push the story out? Does it bring a different audience, a different context to the work that you've been doing with this book?
Well, I think with the recent events in the news, and Selma, and so many things happening in America right now, make this book so relevant. Of course, speak to not only our past, our history, but it speaks to today. And people can learn what another generation did and how they did it. And be inspired to stand up, to speak up and speak out, and do what I call getting in the way.
Right.
And getting in good trouble, necessary trouble.
Right. So speaking of trouble, we'll talk about the fun kind of trouble for DragonCon. Andrew, you've been coming now, you said 19 years?
This is my 19th year, yeah.
So what's the experience being on this side of the table from DragonCon versus what you might have seen like wandering around as a fan? How does that change the kind of vibe for you here?
Well, I think I've gone the full progression. My first time was with a day pass, lugging a backpack full of freebies, not being able to buy a sandwich. And now to have been going for so many years and now to be on the other side of the table, it's a really amazing experience. So many of these creators have become friends and almost like family. And to see them every year and to spend time with everybody, to spend time with the organizers and the volunteers here at DragonCon, it's amazing because they're such wonderful people that work very hard to put on a great show for everyone.
And Congressman Lewis, any experiences that you want to share from DragonCon? I know you've been here a few times, and you were actually part of the banquet last night with Nichelle Nichols. So any experiences you have from the convention that you think people need to know about aside from what you've been seeing here in the comics alley?
Well, people need to understand and know that it is what Andrew called the essence of the beloved community. People, you see a large crowd and people in colorful dress, and acting out or playing the role of certain individuals or certain character, but it's so orderly, and it's a happening. It's the essence of the beloved community.
Right.
People coming together, the sense of hope and optimism, and people are happy.
Yes.
People are not sad. I tell people all the time, be happy. You know, look to the future, be hopeful. And that's a good thing.
Well, I'm really happy that I got to share this experience with you. And Congressman Lewis, welcome to our community of artists and makers and the world of DragonCon. It's good to see you.
Well,
Pleasure to meet you.
Good to meet you.
Andrew, I hope to see you back at DragonCon again. I know you've got a third edition of third installment of the book coming out, and I hope you come back when that's been published. Thanks a lot, and thanks for watching DragonCon. We'll get you back to the show.